Welcome back to the channel. Today I saw a question on the forum that I thought I would answer here in detail with its own video. This is a question that comes up very frequently. It's commonly misunderstood. It's not something that's often taught in basic training, and it's a very powerful tool within EPLAN that I thought I would use a simple example and introduce it to you in detail. So if you'd like to learn a little bit about block properties, stick around for the rest of the video and I'll jump into it in detail. Okay, let's take a moment to review what we're about to do. I have this little demo circuit that I've created. It's an IEC. Don't get your feathers up if you're an NFPA guy. All the stuff I'm going to show you works exactly the same way. What we're going to do is we're going to create what's called path function text, and it is text that within the schematic announces basically what the function of the circuit is, right? We're going to enter that text once, and then these various symbols are going to automatically display that information, right? So the coil here is going to inherit it and display it. The coil contact over here is going to inherit it and display it. And the trick is to figure out how we can inherit that same information to a lamp which is not related by device tag or reference designator, right? So we have to come up with some logical method to inherit that information, and that method is going to be through the use of what EPLAN refers to as a block property. So let me show you how to do that. I've gone ahead and created a little demo circuit that consists of a coil, a related contact, and a lamp that illuminates when this coil is energized. I don't have the upstream circuitry connected for this demo. All right, so basically, in a nutshell, what the user wants to do is he wants to place some function text that describes the operation or function of this circuit, and that information they want to have expressed on both the coil, the contacts, and the lamp. Now, for many of you who are familiar with the basics of EPLAN, getting the function text to transfer between the coil and the contacts is very simple, right? And it's very simple because the two symbols share a device tag or reference designators for your NFPA folks. And the reference designator or the device tag allows those two objects to share a common pool of data, all right? What the problem is there's a related lamp down here that the user also wants to display the function text on, but it's not obvious that it's related, right, to the coil or the contact, all right? So in this demonstration, we'll use path function text, we'll use display properties, and then lastly, we'll create a block property to show you how you can infer a relationship between objects so you can access the data, all right? So first, I'll just do a refresher here. I'll hit my T key to bring up the text, and I'll insert some text to assign to this object. Now, I want to place the function text outside of this on the schematic page. You can, of course, double click on the object here, this coil, and go to the coil tab and enter the function text directly here. And that's perfectly fine, but it's often simpler to place it on the schematic page where it's easy to observe and easy to access so you can modify it. And when you use path function text, kind of a standard is it's the only instance of that text in the circuit, right? So you don't have a bunch of hidden, copies of this. Now, of course, the straightforward method would be to, just open this part up. I could type in valve is open here, I could do the same thing over here, type in valve is open here. And then of course I could go down here and type in valve is open there, all right? And then all three of these objects would share the same path function text. That would be called poor practice, right? Because now I have that function text buried in three different places. There is a better way, and that's the automatic way, all right? So right now, if I hover my mouse over this text, I can see in the dialog that appears that it's plain text, right? It says text valve is open, all right? So I want to change that to path function text, all right? And to do so, I just double click on the text, I bring up the dialog, and down here at the bottom left, I have a selection where I can select this and it will convert it into path function text. In my version or instance of EPLAN for this template, the path function text will, the layer that it's placed on will give it a different color, right? You can, maybe yours is set so it's purple, maybe it's not. I like it to be set so it's purple, I'm just used to it. Now, something else we need to know here, you can of course change the layer settings if you like. I want to hover my finger over my I key, the I key on the keyboard, and select that. And what that will do is it'll bring up the insertion points. All these little dots show the basically the origin or the center of these symbols, all right? And down here, I can see that the insertion point of my path function text is at the lower left of this block of text, right? If I wanted to change that, of course, I could click on this, go to Format. There is the alignment. There's my location of my insertion point. I could do middle center, right? That might be a good thing to do. And now the text is centered about that insertion point and directly beneath the insertion point of the coil. That's what I want. For IEC users, it's a top to bottom relationship. Typically the path function text is on the bottom, right here at the bottom of the page, right? Or the object. For NFP users, it's typically on the right-hand side, right? Or if you split it up for inputs and outputs, that's, you know, left-hand side for inputs or right-hand side for outputs. Okay, the next thing I want to do is, for the purpose of this exercise, I want to get this path function text to appear on this coil, all right? If it was naturally that far away, I probably wouldn't need it, but bear with me, all right? So if I scroll down here, I can see function text common is available, and already I can see that it's reading the value that I have placed, all right? You should see the same thing if you're following along. I'm going to say okay. All right, so there I have the path function text. If I go in here and change this for any reason, valve is open 2, I can simply go up here and update the connections, and it will refresh with the most current text. It's not immediate, all right? So I'll go back in. Now that we know that that connection is good, I'm going to go ahead and add the path function text to this. So now this is transferring its information to this, and now this, through the DT, we want to share the same information here to this contact. Now, for the purpose of this demo, I have the contact on the same page. Of course, this contact could be anywhere in the design on 50 pages away. And so long as the DTs are exactly the same, they will match up in the mounting location, of course. So I'm going to add the function text as a display property here. Function text, there it is. I'll say okay. And now I have the function text here and there. I'm going to go ahead and test it again because it's easy to do. All right. Go ahead and update my connections. Great. We have linkage between here and here. Now the trick is, the purpose of this video is, this and this are not related by a device tag. So how do you get this to display the function text? All right. So let me reset this. And you do that by creating what's called a block property. Now, if you ever browse through EPLAN, You've created a new project. You've sorted your data in here, and you've noticed that sometimes there's quite a few of these things called block properties, all right? So this is my old one. I'm going to get rid of that. To delete one of these, you simply delete the text first, and then once the cell is empty, you can remove it from the list. It doesn't literally delete it, but it deletes it from this view, all right? So these are used to connect data from one object to another or a table to another that EPLAN didn't necessarily assume that you might want access to, right? So in this case, they had no idea that I might want to place function text from a coil onto a lamp in this sort of circuit, all right? So in this case, again, these two were logically related by the device tag. Now, the relationship between this lamp and the coil can be seen through this connection point right here, right? So EPLAN knows that this lamp is connected to that contact, and it also knows that this contact is a child function of this main function, this coil, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to basically look out this lamp at this connection X1 to this contact to get access to the information, right? We could actually take a copy of the information from this contact and apply it to this lamp, but we can also use the access that we have to this contact to then jump over to the coil and actually read the information directly from the coil and assign it to the lamp. All right. I prefer to do it this way. I can't say whether it's the more correct way to do it, but it's the least circuitous, right? It's the most direct route. So that if someone went in here later on and typed something in at the contact, right, accidentally, you would have a situation where this said one thing and that said something else, right? And actually what would happen when this is set up is K10 up here, the contact would read the information from the coil and assign it here. And if somebody typed something in here, it would write it down to the lamp, all right? So to avoid that situation, I want to get both of these so they're reading right from the coil, okay? So to do this, we have to, again, create this thing called the block property. Now, to do that, there's two different ways to do that. There is two different ways to do it, and there's kind of really one workflow, right? If you already know a good block property from another project that you want to import, that's great. You can copy and paste it directly up here in the project properties. That creates what's called a global block property, right? There's global and, local, I would say, local, right? I can create a block property that is specific to this symbol right here on this schematic page, and it will work just fine. I can make copies of this, copy, paste it all over the, this schematic page, and it will continue to work just fine. But if I go up to the insert symbol tool and insert a new identical copy of this lamp symbol into the schematic, it would not inherit that block property because it doesn't have global attribution. All right. This had local scope, whereas when we assign it up here, it has global or project level scope. All right. So let me go ahead and just go down through the process. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into this lamp and we're going to look for a relationship. All right. And right now I can see that this lamp is related to that contact via that wire or that connection. All right. So we're going to use that and leverage that to our advantage. All right. So I'm going to first go to the signal lamp tab, and I'm going to go down here into the device properties, and I'm going to add a block property. block property format. All right. There's a couple in here. There's one here. It's not currently used. I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. When I bring that up, I get this dialog, typical, right? These are for display properties. These block property formats are for creating the block properties, all right? Establishing the relationship. I'm going to go ahead and use block property 10. Why not? All right. And when I OK that, I can see a new block property format available down here with an empty value. All right. That's exactly where we want to be. I'm going to go over to the right, and I'm going to find my ellipses, or the 3 dots. I'm going to select that. And when I do, I'm going to get a new dialog. All right. This is the format block property dialog. All right. And let's take a moment to look around and see what we can see. All right. We can see that we have available format elements. Now, these are kind of, for lack of a better word, a class of a property, right? We can select these and then select on the arrow key and then have access to one or more, itemized properties that are related to this parent data structure over here. Same thing with this. If I want to do general function of this, I could click on that, and there's a whole bunch of information that we could pick from in here. All right. So we want to think about what we're doing here. And so right now we have this handy dandy navigation pane down here. And right now it says that we're located at a lamp single, and it tells us where it is. It's on page 1, column 3, right? Tells us that it has a couple of connections. All right. So we can look in here and we can see there's a main function in here, right? That's the lamp itself, right? We can see the information there. And again, we've got lots of, confusing amount of data in here, all right? So like I said before, we want to leverage this relationship, this logical relationship between the lamp and the contact. So basically we want to go to the connection point for one of the legs and look out one of the wires and see if we can see the next connected device. Just like the, very similar to how the connection reports work. And we're going to do that by selecting this property here, target via connection point and target number. All right. If I expand that, we see a bewildering amount of connection points. But if we take a moment to think about what we just clicked on, right, this represents the connection points that are connected to the lamp. There's only 2 connection points. So let's click on these and expand them and see if any of this stuff makes sense. All right. So if I go down here to 1, 2, and 3, I don't see anything on 3, but I do see some data for connection points 1 and 2. All right. So at connection point 1, I can see that there's a changeover contact somewhere out there as a target. And if I go down here to connection point 2, I can see that there's a terminal named X1 designation 4. All right. And I'll jump out of this just for a second. And here we are back in the schematic. And one of these connection points leads to a normally open contact, and another leads to a terminal X14. So what I want to do is I want to look down the one that has the contact on it. All right. And I want to, for now, ignore the other one. Now, it is important, though, once we set this up, that this will only work if you place your lamp in the circuit the same exact way every time, right? If you put it in X1 and you get it to work, great. If you put it in and it's X2 is connected to the contact, it'll be looking at the terminal, not at the contact, right? So we're going to set up a rule, and a computer is going to follow the rule. All right. It's pretty rigorous in that way. All right. So let's get back in here. Let's open up this dialog. Let's go back into our block property. All right, so we know we're going to try the connection point, and we're going to try connection point 1. All right. So this is where things get a little weird, right? So down here, if they haven't gotten weird already, all right? So we're indirectly accessing information in a database, right? That's basically what we're doing with this. And down here, we're currently at the lamp, right? What we want to do is look out this connection point here at this changeover contact, and we want to move the focus of the data set from the lamp to this changeover contact. And we're going to do this by using this next level tool, the stair tool. And so long as we're selecting the right object, right, we'll end up, once we click on this, the focus will be now on the changeover contact and not on the lamp. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And when we do that, we'll see down here in the navigation menu that we have both the lamp down here and then the target via connection point, which is a changeover contact. All right. And if we look up here for the function that we're currently assigned to, it's a changeover contact. All right. So what we've done is we've moved the focus from the lamp down the wire via the connection point to the changeover contact. All right. Now we could go in here, right? And we could go to this general function tab, right? And click on this, select the selected element tool, and we could browse through here and we could find function text, right? That the valve is open. Looks like exactly what we want, right? But let's take a moment. What are we actually doing, all right? We are at the changeover contact. We are transferring information. We're establishing basically a pointer, right, back to the lamp to the changeover contact, right? But what we really want is to take the information directly from the main coil, right? So we've got to go up one more level, right? Down here I can see it's referencing a main function for the coil. And as I click on it, you can see in the graphic preview, right? The target is placed on it, right? So I want to go up one more level. So we're now referencing the data that will be in this data set will be coming directly from the coil, all right? So I'm going to go select the main function for the coil. I'm going to click up one level. And now what we have in our navigation pane is we've got the lamp, the connection point via the changeover contact. And by having access to that, I can point directly at the coil, right? So that's exactly what we want. And of course, you can go in here and dig through every one of these. I think anyone who's ever made one of these has spent an hour or two looking at what properties are available in here. I'll save you some time. We'll go up here to the function, right? The available function element, coil for power contactor. It just happened to be the symbol that I picked for this exercise. Yours might be different. And I'm going to select the general function category, and I'm going to pick out of my list valve is open, right? Function text common. I'm going to select that and okay. And when I do, it will now place an element, a function element over here in the selected format elements. And when it does, I can preview that data tag, or I'm not really sure what you call these, the block property format. I can preview that text string that establishes the unique text path that I want to pull information from. And I can also get a preview of the available data set or the value that's there. So that gives me visual confirmation that I do have the correct properties configured, right? And that's a really good example right here of why you create these at the device level first, right? And then we will later copy this over to the project level. And once at the project level, we won't have access to this, because this information isn't unique at a global level, right? It's only unique at the device level or the symbol level, right? So we can copy and paste this, and then we'll go back and delete this. All right, so moving forward, I'm going to say OK. And back here at the lamp properties, general device signal lamp, I have this format element. So I'm going to first try it out to verify that it's good. I'm pretty confident it's going to be good because of what we saw in the previous screen. But I'm going to go ahead and click on my display tab, and I'm going to add a block property in here. All right. So I'm going to click on new and go to block property. And I don't see it. Got talking and probably did something wrong. There's my block property format. I'm going to go ahead and add that in here. Okay. Normally I would see the text for that right there. So now to test it, I'm going to do what we've done before and add some new information here. Go up here and update my connections. Okay, and now what I have is everything's up to date. That looks like good linkage. So now if someone went in here and entered some alternate information, right? This is pulling its information from here, and that is pulling its information from there. So this is no longer pulling information from there. So even if someone enters this information locally, I don't think it will override that. All right? No, it disregards that, which is great. Okay, so let me go change this back. Okay, did you see how that works? All right, so go ahead and update that. All right, so now this is all up to date. We've got our block property working. What we want to do now is we want to disassociate this from the new. We want to disassociate it from a local instance. So if I copy this and go ahead and number it. All right, I'm going to create a new instance here. And right here, I'm going to get, let me take a moment. If I double click on this symbol here, bring up the properties, it's a copy of what we had before. So down here on the main properties page, we have a block property, a format, and over here it references that block property right here. So let's go ahead and get rid of that, and then go ahead and insert a new symbol, right? H, whatever. Okay. And go ahead and assign, copy the format from that to this. All right. And we don't have, this is, the transfer is not working, right? And the transfer is not working even though we're referencing this block property, because that block property doesn't exist here, right? When we brought in a new instance of that symbol, this was a locally generated format, right? A locally generated data. That data wasn't available in the symbol library, right? So what we want to do is we want to copy that data from here, and we want to create a new block property at the project level so that when we create new schematics or new circuits, if we choose to inherit that information, we can, all right? So now I'm going to go to the project, go to properties, all right? I'm going to sort here by double clicking on the property name. I'm going to go to the block properties area. I don't see one in there. I previously deleted one. I'm going to go ahead and select new, and we get a plethora of these that pop up. I'm going to select block property general devices, right? And for consistency, I'm going to select 10 again. All right. And that should be right there. There it is. Now in my Windows clipboard, I still have that text that we copied from the one that we created earlier. I'm going to go ahead and Control V. It's in there now. You can add comments to this. You know, if I wanted to add a comment, there's a tag you can add in here as you get, you know, I'll go ahead and quickly add that in there. This is, okay, great. Right. You can then sort through some of this information and get an idea. It gets very confusing. It's a bunch of text. After a while, if you put a good description in there of what that block property is, you can recognize it. And then if you want to move it from one project to another, you can. Of course, this can be added to a template so that any new project that's created has it. That's, of course, up to you. All right, so I've added this in here. I'm going to OK that. And now I'm going to go over to my new lamp. And it's already, you can see it's already showing the value, right? So this, it's showing the value because valve 1 is open and valve 2 is open. It's showing the value because in the previous exercise, I had copied the display format from this one to that one. So it was referencing block property 10 from the project, but block property 10 wasn't assigned yet. So now that it is, it's referencing the information from this lamp to that contact, to that coil. All right. Actually, I think it's directly doing it. And that, in a nutshell, is how you create a block property. Hope you enjoyed the demonstration today, and come back soon and check out our new videos. That's it for now. Talk to you later. Bye. If you're looking for help with your next EPLAN project, please contact us here at MultilineDesigns.com, your independent EPLAN specialists.